A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for setting time apart and joining us this evening right here at The Big Conversation. My name is Faith Kaulu. Do stay with us till the end of this program. We would like to make it as interactive as possible, so do talk to us on our social media pages, that is CAC TV Kenya on Facebook and YouTube. We'll be looking at your comments and feedback. Now this evening we are talking about exam preparedness and psychological disturbances. We are calling it the final lap for COVID candidates, because we still haven't resumed the normal school calendar, and we want to see how prepared are they, how are the school getting them prepared, what are some of the cautions that should be taken. And to have this wonderful discussion with me this evening are three amazing people. I'll introduce them briefly, of course, give them a chance to introduce themselves further. I'll start with right next to me is Mr. Simon Mbugwa, the principal, PCA Limuru Boys High School. Karibu sana, and thank you so much for being here this evening.
Okay, thank you, Faith.
Mr. Simon Mwangi, right. And we have Flash Mburu right there. He's a counseling psychologist. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much.
And at the very far end is Damaris Wangui Maina, the deputy head teacher, Green Edgewood Academy.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Asante. We appreciate you setting time apart for this discussion that is very timely and necessary. I'll start with you, Mr. Simon Mwangi. Tell us more about PCA Limuru Boys High School.
Okay, thank you, Faith, for having us or having me here. My name is Mwangi Simon. I'm a teacher of biology and chemistry and the principal PCA Limuru Boys. At PCA Limuru Boys, that is wherever I teach, recently the chemistry in the recent past years, with not much to do with biology, but I'm trained to teach also that one. In PCA Limuru Boys, we call it a place where boys arise. So a school which have been recently performing and which is coming up with a high level of enthusiasm and academic performance, with very supportive staffs who are very committed and professional to their work.
Good.
Yes, we are also preparing our candidates toward this national exam, and we know they will do good and excellent when it comes to the performance. As the past years, we have had a good performance, and we can't wait for this one of 2022.
All right.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like the confidence, and you mentioned that you have prepared the students.
Yeah.
We'll be letting you in to tell us how are you doing that exactly, and share some of the secrets with us. But thank you for being here this evening.
Okay.
Damaris Sangui Maina, as well, thank you for being here. Tell us a bit about Green Edgewood Academy.
Yes, good evening, viewers. My name is Damaris Maina. I am a teacher in Green Edgewood Academy. This school is located in Ruiru Sub-County, and again, we are in Kiambu County. Our school is a boys and girls boarding school, and again, it has this scholars section. It's a good school that we normally achieve a lot. We teach learners, and again, when it comes to exams, we normally excel. And it's a good school with qualified teachers, and again with good management. That when we are there, we normally feel comfortable. Again, we have amazing parents who normally help us to bring the children there, and we impart knowledge to their learners. We are grateful to be here again in this conversation about the exam preparedness. We are preparing our students, that is the class 8 who are about to undertake the KCPE, and also the grade 6 learners who are about to do the KPSEA exam. We are grateful that despite the many challenges that we have had, and especially this year where we have been having autumns, we are grateful that they have done well. We have prepared them enough, and we are hoping that they will still shine this year. Thank you so much.
All right. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Flash Mburu, we also appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
I know you deal a lot with students as well.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about what you do.
Okay, my name is Flash Mburu. I'm a counseling psychologist, psychotherapist, if you like. So I deal with individual therapy sessions, couples, families, groups, and plenary. And that means I can see you as a church, as a school, as an organization. I can see you way as an individual, be it a child, be it an old person, a teenage person, even a teenager. Yeah, and I deal with schools a lot.
A lot.
Yes.
Okay. Well, to you who is at home, if you're a parent, you have a student whether in Form 4, Class 8 or Grade 6, I'd like to hear from you as well. Tell us how you're preparing them. We'll also talk about how important it is for parents to also be involved in preparing their children. But today, we have the spotlight on teachers in schools. And we'll start with you, Mr. Simon. You've talked about preparedness. But before we get to that, let's talk about the disrupted school calendar since 2020. I assume it has not been easy for teachers. You've talked about having 4 semesters within this year alone. So tell us, how has that been on your end?
Yeah. On the issue of exam, of the terms, and also the school calendar within this year, it haven't been that easy. Bearing in mind, it was out of the disruption by the COVID-19. And after we resumed to school, it had been a marathon and a stretch for everyone, both to the student and even to the teachers. It had been not that easy to be able to absorb 4 terms within a year, and the later part of the last year. So, and this one is the one which have depicted the challenge nationwide, which in the last term we had just in the recent past, experiencing the story to do with the fire in school, out of the feeling psychologically stretched. So you look for a way to empty the stress. You look for a way to be able to create an atmosphere which might be friendly to you, especially to the student, and they will find themselves at home by any means. So, and out of this, we had to run a bit further to be able to interact with the student more, equip guidance and counseling in our schools, so that we can talk to them more and they be able to bear with their going. Also to the parents, it have not been easy within the terms, because be it within a short period of time, students are at home, within few days they are back to school again, and they require school fees. So everyone is now suffering a lot of psychological problem with the issue of economy. So that's why we are talking of all from all areas, both the parents and the students, and same case to the teacher.
To the teachers as well.
Because the syllabus needs to be covered, despite it is a term of 8 weeks, there is the expected content to cover by that time. So in the midst to find that there is a lot of marathon teaching, especially to the boarding schools, early in the morning, late at night. So the students find themselves, they are a bit destabilized in their mind. But it is have called a lot of support, the work of the teachers, and engaging them in forums, which I know the psychologists here, the people who have been assisting us to be able to manage the stretch. But otherwise, in the midst, we are able to cover the content, and especially when there is a lot of commitment and a lot of managing the stress, and we are able to go on and cover the syllabus.
Okay, great. Yes. I'll come to you, Wangui. Of course, Simon has put it quite well, but here's a new thing for you on your end called the CBC, and you're preparing the first class ever to take the KPSEA exams. How has that been on your end?
Let me say that it has not been easy. We started the CBC curriculum back in year 2019, and now these candidates that we have in this year, by then they were in grade 3, where they did a national assessment, and again they have been having assessments at each and every end of every year. That is starting from 2019, then 2020 when they were in grade 4, 2021 when they were in grade 5, and then now that they are about to exit the primary education. But again, when we have been having assessments, again the projects, and again the theory part of it, and we have engaged our learners so well, despite the many challenges being a pioneer class, and with a lot of facilities required, a lot of materials required, but we have been able to sail all through. And now that we have come to this year, whereby we are required to, for them they are required to undergo an exam whereby they are using multiple choice questions. It has not been easy because previously they were used to those open-ended questions. And now, early this year, the government informed us that we are to use the multiple choice questions. And then it was a challenge by them, now changing these learners' minds into open-ended questions. And then now talking about the multiple choice questions. But when we got the information, we organized ourselves, and we have been training them on how to answer the questions that have got choices. And again, that one has been a challenge, but as we speak now, we are somewhere, and we are expecting that and hoping that when they get to this exam room, they'll be able to tackle those questions. Despite having now the mode of exam, there has been challenges about the preparedness according to the various assessments that we have had. And again, like last term, we had 2 types of assessment. That is the activity-based, that is the projects. We had a lot of projects for each and every subject, and again we still had a theory assessment whereby learners were required to answer questions on a paper. And again, it has not been easy, but we thank God that so far we have done it so well. Thank you.
Flash, I want to be in at this point because I wanted to hear from them both, and I like how Simon here has confessed that students have been overstretched at some point and destabilized. And we hear as well from Wangui, who says we've had students answering open-ended questions, and then now we're changing the system again and introducing them to something different. Simon has mentioned as well that teachers also have the pressure to cover the syllabus within this very short time. And now I want to ask, how, let's bring in the student, how are they, you know, psychologically? How easy is it as well for the teachers to transfer this pressure to students? Because at the end of the day, they have to perform as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question, and psychologists will confess this year has been crazy, for lack of a better word, for everybody. The students are stretched, the teachers are stretched, the parent is stretched. First of all, they've stayed with them for a very long time. Some of them who did not touch books are they had to relearn to learn because they had unlearned. Yeah. So that does not put the teacher in a very good situation. Not to mention that the pressure is so much. Up till now, there are schools who have not covered the syllabus, and the teachers are under a lot of pressure, including the head teachers who are under the pressure from the TSC. So it's nothing as bad as these guys are already stressed, and they are stressing the teachers are stressing already stressed students. It's a mess. Yeah. It's a mess for all of us. So the idea is for people to learn to calm down. Calm down. What can you do? Do it. Okay. There is a little more pressure that needs to be put because it's not business as usual. But again, do not panic. There is a lot of panic, especially. Then again, what doesn't help is the myriad that we are throwing in. There is a CBC, CG classics are going. It's crazy. So you are worried about next year, and you are worried about now, both for the parents, for the teachers. Then the parents parents and head teachers, it does not help. They're having pressure from the parents are pressuring the teachers, because especially for these two, let me give you an example of you guys who are in boarding school. The kids have been thrown to you. You do your thing. You fail, it's on you.
Yeah.
We are paying the school fees, it's on you. So I think people just need to calm down. Exam is coming, there is a little pressure, but be careful not to pressure too much so that you mess up your mental health as a teacher, the children's mental health, and the parent. There is a lot of blame game. We need to diffuse that. They need to work. It's a three whatever. They need to work together. All of them, the teacher, the parent, and the student. They need to work together. Once they calm down and there is cohesion, it's not as bad as we imagine it is. Yeah.
Well, it's not as bad as we imagine. I think I like that. I'll come to you, Simon. Flash is telling us there's pressure from parents. I'd like to hear it from you. Have you experienced any of that?
Yeah, that's true. As Flash is saying here, a lot of pressure is being experienced. The parents feel their students ought to perform, especially in the boarding school. She have just put it.
Yeah.
So you have role to make sure you have guard the student, be with him, especially for like me who deal with the boys, and you make sure they have finished the syllabus. And I like the way it is just being put down to us, that we need to calm down and relax and deal with the situation as it is. But even as we deal with the situation as it is, we have to feel the marathon. We are calling it marathon operation. Now finish up the syllabus and make sure the student retain the content.
Yeah.
So, and out of this now the psychological problem now develops. But a teacher have got always to be able to make sure that you have dealt with the parent, you have been able to deal with a student, you have been able to make sure you have harmonized even the teachers so that they are able to feel that indeed this is workable. So in the midst of this, you realize that the parents now are able to come in when you engage them frequently, to be able to engage their student, to be able to stretch.
Right.
Because even here in the outside, I like the way the parents are coming it out and calling it, that despite what we have to stretch and learn with the economy. So when the commodities are going high, you also lies with it. So same case, when the time is becoming short, you also learn with it and be able to cover the syllabus. Because after all, the exam, according to the way we did last year, expecting we'll have a shorter content covered because of the COVID-19 interruption. Those students who never covered the syllabus still felt it at the end, which I know to some extent those who covered it was an exemption as included.
Right.
So in the midst, we need to stretch a bit, but at least you interject now counseling, you bring in a situation which is breaking the classroom monotony so that they are able to do something even outside the class. And you are able now to accommodate the student, reason to the student, and you are able to at long run achieve the targeted goal.
Right.
Yeah.
Wangui, I come to you again. You talked about the CBC, and you still have students who are also under the 844 system. How has that been for you? Because now amidst the pressure from parents, especially parents who are CBC parents, we've had a talk with them and they've told us how things have been on their end. I assume they've had many questions. And then here you still have students under the 844 system. Tell us, how have you been able to balance all that?
To start with, now that we have the class 8 students, and again they have to undergo the KCP, and we had to make sure that we come up with strategies. Being in a school whereby you have 2 classes of candidates, we had to strategize so that we can make sure that each class is prepared accordingly. With the class 8 and of course with the help of the management, and again with the cooperation of all teachers, we had to make sure that we have completed the syllabus, and again we rushed it, and we were able to complete within the stipulated time that we had planned, and again so that we can get time for proper revision. Of course, we were able to do that, even as I agree with my colleague here, that at times we had to make sure that we have broken that monotony, with the kind of counseling sessions, and again the outdoor activities, whereby we even had to make some trips for our learners, even to have that breakage of monotony in the four walls in the classroom. So with that, we were able to ensure that with the cooperation of all the teachers, that we have handled the class 8 candidates so well that even now we are still continuing with the revision. Concerning the CBC class, that one has been hectic a bit, considering the age of these learners. You can imagine they cannot take a lot within that short time. But again, we have ensured that we have done all what we could have done. Again, remember that short duration of 4 terms in a year. And again, remember even last year we had the same. We had the 4 terms. So what we've been doing is that we've been interacting these learners with a lot of activities. For example, we have various, in our school, we have various clubs, whereby we have some in 4K club, others in music and dance. Now you can imagine, even when the learners have got the stress, they are able even to maneuver and to do away with stress because of the music, and again the dancing. We also have the taekwondo club in our school. We have chess club. So each and every learner is able to have that break, yes, again, so that again when we come back to class they can be able to listen and to accommodate, because it was not only listening and accommodating, but also engaging learners in activities whereby they now get or they acquire the skills. Let me say this, with the CBC, as much as we teach, with CBC, it requires more of activities so that the learners can get the skills and the concepts that you want them to get. That is why we normally, or we have been interacting them in various activities, the group work, and at times pairing them up in so many methodologies that we normally use in class: the storytelling, the dramatization, the role playing, so that at least they may be able to catch up with what we had planned. But so far, let me say this, yes, it has been hectic, and again when you think of learners countrywide, whereby you require to have many facilities. For example, most the CBC talks about the integration of ICT, and we are lucky to have the facilities. But now I was thinking of this scenario where we have learners from those remote areas whereby there is no even power itself, and the same learners are required even to undergo or to have that knowledge in ICT, or what we call the integration of ICT. So you can imagine in some schools in those marginal areas, they don't even have the classrooms. Now you can imagine what that learners have undergone, bearing in mind that they have to learn the same content that even other learners in urban centers are learning. So it has been a challenge, but we are hoping that now that the government in place has set a task force even to maybe check on the way forward. So we are very hopeful that they will come up with something concrete even to help these learners and again the Kenyan child. Yes.
Great. We are talking about the kids are going through a lot, the teachers as well. We've brought in the aspects of the parents. Earlier on you told us, calm down, it's not as worse as we imagine. But let's talk about why do we need to calm down? How has all this affected, you know, the involved parties psychologically?
Okay. Because of the pressure, you realize sometimes some kids who are very smart, and I don't know, the teachers can give their experience. There are times whereby that kid who is so smart does not perform as you expected in the final big exam because of this pressure, the expectation. So what happens, there are many different kinds of anxiety. Right now, I'm hoping the anxiety that is playing out is the normal anxiety. You have an exam, so teachers have an exam. I mean, you'd be crazy if you're not anxious a bit, the normal one. But then there is an anxiety that we call acute, and that's why I want everybody to calm down. That's why you hear around this time, during exam time, is where schools start getting banned. During mocks and as we wait the major final exam is when kids start panicking and they start banning school and doing mischief. Suddenly there is so much indiscipline because they are anxious. There is so much pressure. They want to avoid this big animal called the exam because of the pressure. That's why it's important that everybody calms down, and I always encourage teachers and parents, the caretakers and guardians, tell kids, give them the big picture. Why do you need to pass this exam? Because you want to be a doctor. So you need to pass so that you go to this school, so that you go straight to campus, because there's no diploma in medicine. You have to go straight to campus. That's why you need to work hard. But don't pressure them that you need to work hard to be like, to compete with so and so. What will I tell people if you pass? Then there is this thing that parents, I feel you parents who are watching, but this story of saying, if you get this, I'm going to buy you a phone. Psychologically, there's something we call UPR, unconditional positive regard. You love this kid anyway. Whether they pass with an A, whether they get an E, assure them that you will love them unconditionally. You will be surprised how that kid will perform vis-a-vis the threats. You are not, you need to be like so and so. You need to go to Limuru, you need to go to your school, you need to go. Just tell them, look, you want to do this, have career talks, so that when the kid is sitting this exam, they know why I need to pass, so that I do this and I do that, I become whom I want to be. Have discussions about the big picture. The issue is not the exam. The issue is that the exam is a stepping stone to who you want to be. That's why you need to pass this exam. I wish we had that conversation. Yeah, let the kids have, let the kids connect the exam and their future. Yeah.
I like how you put it. And I'd like to ask Simon and Wangwe as well. I'd like to hear from both of you. Have you experienced any cases of anxiety or panic attacks? I think we're 2 weeks away from the KCSE exams. Tell us about that so far. Yeah.
First, I really appreciate what Fresh here I've just mentioned about on the issue of coming down, and apart she just mentioned of the parents and the teachers and the learners working as one to be able to complement the others. So there is one difficult thing we have had. If I connect to my fellow teacher there, mentioning about, and that's why we are speaking it when we are on the ground on the CBC. So one thing we'll celebrate about is in this CBC is like also helping teachers to be able to give and create time of the students and the runners with their parents. Because if there is something lacking in terms of the runners in their mind, it is that presence and connection with their parents. So you realize you are a teacher, and not only a teacher, but also the mother or the father to that runner. So you have to act both the roles. Because when they come home for a holiday, they feel like they should be given a phone to just watch cartoons.
Or take them to grandma.
Just take them to, and there is no time to discuss. Because I believe that in everything, when it is well discussed, when there is well a compliment from those people you love and those people who are close to you, you become even proactive. You become even more productive. So not that they can't absorb the pressure, but the appreciation from the parents is lacking. They are only there to celebrate something done, but done the correct way, but still feel like if you did this one, I would have celebrated you better. That's why I think it is just being praised here. That if you get a name, I'll be able to buy you this. So, or an iPhone. So eventually you realize the kid is psychologically traumatized.
Before we lose that point, allow me to bring in Flash to tell us then what, we're talking about parents being involved, and we're saying love your kid unconditionally. Let's talk about, the importance of this role of the parent being involved. When they close, do not send them to grandma, do not give them phones, as Simon is putting it here. So why is it important?
It's important because, let me tell you, you'll be surprised how kids have a crazy way of getting attention from the parents. Do you know some kids actually become warui and unruly in school so that they are expelled? One, during expulsion, you have time with your parent. Two, you have gotten your parents' attention. As bad as it is, it doesn't matter. You have given me an attention. It's like this. It's like a baby. Why do babies throw tantrums? They want attention. Why will a baby, a 2-year-old, keep walking here and they just want attention? So it is very important that you give your kids attention. Below 18, it doesn't matter he's in 4th form, give him attention so that he knows he is loved. He has assurance. He will stop bullying in school because bullying is a sign of low self-esteem. It's a way of getting attention. He'll stop even bragging. He'll stop harassing people. He'll stop or she will stop holding conversations, because what happens, they are not listened to at home, they are not given attention at home, so they will do anything to get attention. That's where you get conversational narcissists. You find kids in a group, and there is this one who is talking, because it's the only time that they are being heard. But a kid who is heard at home has no drama, has no discipline issues. They talk, they also listen, because they are not fighting for attention. They get it. In fact, they will let other they are so fair. Sometimes they even let the other kids take the slot, because they are not hungry for all that. If it's about education, they've been affirmed. They've been assured. Either way, I'm going to love you. They have the big picture, so they are very focused. These are the kids you don't have to beat to do preps. These are the kids you don't have to supervise to do homework. They'll do homework anyway. In fact, some of the parents, they come and tell me, but so and so is so self-driven. What can I do? I tell them, now as the parent, this is where you tell your kid, break, go to sleep, because they are so self-driven. So that's why it's important to take charge as a parent.
So we're actually saying that the involvement of parents in their children's life actually is either where the problems emanate from, or then solves a lot of issues that we are facing.
Actually, the real issue for indiscipline, banning schools, whatever. The real issue, the underlying issue, parent. Yes.
Oh, good. As a teacher.
I want to agree with what he's saying because at times when there are times that you normally ask parents even to come for a meeting, and then you find that despite being a Saturday, the parent is not available for the child. So as long as we are saying that CBC has a lot of challenges, I think it is the best curriculum. Bearing in mind that as teachers, we normally give some work, activities to be done at home, where we require the parent to get involved. We normally give projects, for example, maybe even having a kitchen garden and coming up with some plants, the vegetables, the sukuma wiki there and the tomatoes there. And then when these learners now they are at home, remember they will be guided by their parents. Despite having all those challenges that you have talked about and what everybody has been seeing, even countrywide, I think it is the best curriculum because now we get to reach to that parent, having that project at home, having learners even to make an item, a musical instrument, maybe a guitar or something that the learners are required to come with it to school. So as they interact, as they get to make whatever the teacher had asked, they have that interaction. And again, it is helping in bonding of the parent and the child. So I think that one is very important.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me go back to the previous question I had asked. Have you experienced any cases of panic attacks or anxiety? I think for you, I believe it's next week, right?
Next week.
Yes.
That is next week from 28th because actually this Friday they are doing the rehearsals. And then they'll start the exams on Monday. That is the KCP and the KEPSIA. To start with the class 8, again, our colleague here has mentioned about that tension. Of course, it is very normal. It is very normal to have that anxiety. But again, it should not be in excess. With the class 8, of course, bearing in mind that they have that pressure again and high expectation because again as a parent you've been you have taken your child to school and then you're expecting her to acquire that high grade so that again that child can go to a good high school. So that one is there. And again there is this fear, of course. There must be some fear in some learners about fear to fail. That one also, it's there. But what we are doing currently is to engage them in a lot of guidance and counseling. And again, with the CBC class, they have many challenges and things that are unknown. Bearing in mind they are the first class that is now undergoing the assessment. They are still young, and then they are wondering if the government decides to take them to those high schools, will they get a friendly environment? And again, are they going to be bullied by those big girls and boys? And that is one of the fear that they have, and again, a concern. Number two is when now they get to those high schools, are they going to have teachers who will be friendly again, who will come to that level? Bearing in mind they have been handling those big boys and girls. Are there will it be teachers who will be able to handle them in such a way that they feel that they are being appreciated, and again they are being given that environment to continue with learning? Another thing is about the various subjects that they are going to have. And currently they have been having 11 or 10 subjects, but now we understand that in the junior high school they will be having like 14 subjects, and then it becomes something to worry about, because again these are little children with little minds, and that one is also a concern and a worry. Again, we have these boys who are supposed to undergo a kind of initiation, and then we have the same voice, and now they are still at that tender age, bearing in mind they were expecting it to happen maybe some 2 years to come. But now this duration that we shall be having, the holidays, they're expected to undergo that transition. And then those are the fears and the some things that are worrying them. But all in all, we've been addressing them, we've been counseling, and hopeful that even as we come to that Monday next week, they will excel.
Okay.
Yes.
Simon, on your end, how is the situation?
Yeah.
I know you mentioned that you're in the last sprint. Yeah, how are the students taking it?
Yeah, that's true, Faith, that there is a lot of pressure. And I like the way Marim is just putting it, that they cannot feel it is something normal eventually. But there is this point which I was mentioning as the psychologist here, the counselor here is also mentioning to us that the parent also plays a good key role, because the anxiety, the worry of ukimaliza hapa tumemalizana na wewe, especially at KCSE level. So you are now an adult, so you realize the anxiety is not only now the exam, the anxiety is what to follow you even after that exam. So, and that's why, like, in the area that, or in the place I am, we call upon the parents to be able to sell the sense of belonging. So the sense of love, as we have been taught here. So that this student or this learner feels like, despite what, I know I have a home. So if I fail, I have a home. If I pass, I have a home. So we need to sell, and that is one way of giving the student or the learner a good college. But you realize there is anxiety, and it comes with a lot of panic. But the students are, and as I had mentioned earlier, we are trying all means as the teachers to break the classroom monotony. Even like in our school, you find that we are not even doing the class or the lesson in class. You take them to enjoy the environment outside. You look, you just, we have got movable whiteboards. So you move in a field wherever you can be able to do some something beyond the four corners.
So you're saying, wow, meaning that is a good that actually helps.
Yeah, and Omari mentioned here about the music and dance. So we have been able to look for a way that in the evening, if it is music, the day of crab, they go and play music away from the
cool down.
Yes, away from the academics. And now it helps that student a little bit to be able to have to manage the anxiety. And one thing we are avoiding also is to make sure that they have not been able to interact in such a competition manner, such that you get A, me, I get this grade. So can I manage to get like you? Because everyone have ability. There is something which was being mentioned when there was also launching of the briefing for KCSE and also for primary national exams, so which are happening, both of them at grade 6 and grade 8, that we have 70% day scorers. I've been trying to imagine on these 70% day scorers, how are they also trying to manage the anxiety? If there is something I can mention.
That question. Hold it right there. Let's take a very short break. We'll come back with that and looking at how are they managing the anxiety,
Yeah.
right? So we're taking a very short break, but I see your comments coming in on our social media pages. Shiro, Kamau, Mushiri, Joseph Katampoy, that's on Facebook, and I see you as well who are engaging us on YouTube. We have Hannah Waithera, among others. You keep the comments coming. We'll be looking at them. In case of any question, drop them on our social media pages, that is CAC TV Kenya on Facebook and YouTube. Keep it right here because we'll be back in a few. Christmas already here at CAC TV, the season of cheer and goodies. Are you a church organization and would like to air your end of year and New Year services? Are you thinking of reaching a wider audience and showcasing your Christmas cantatas and concerts? Have you thought about showcasing your Sunday school services to the entire country? Then, CAC TV is offering you the end year advert bonanza. We will cover and broadcast all the above events at up to 50% off our normal rates starting this October till January 2023. Usiwachwe nyuma hii krisi. Call our sales team now on 0738 278 506 or 0739 971 607. Send an email bnkogie@cactv.org or munyoroku@cactv.org for more information. Hurry and book now. Pamoja tuvuke mwaka. It's the CAC TV End Year New Year Advert Bonanza. It's Christmas already here at CAC TV. Are you a business looking to advertise your brand and products to potential customers? Are you looking to improve your sales as we end the year? Starting this October till January 31st, 2023, we are offering you, our customer, various discounts up to 50% off our advertising rates. Imagine paying half the price to reach customers countrywide. Usiwachwe nyuma hii krisi. Call our sales teams now on 0738 278 506 or 0739 971 607. Contact us on email bnkogie@cactv.org or munyoroku@cactv.org for more information. Hurry and book now. Pamoja tuvuke mwaka. It's the CAC TV End Year Advert Bonanza. PCEA Housing Cooperative Society Limited brings you Jempa Gardens in Elementaita, Gilgil. The 50 by 100 plots are located 800 meters from Nakuru-Nairobi Highway at the Diatomite Factory. Non-commercial plots are selling at 600,000 Kenya shillings for PCEA Housing Cooperative Society members and 650,000 Kenya shillings for non-members. Commercial plots are selling at 650,000 Kenya shillings for PCEA Housing Cooperative Society members and 700,000 Kenya shillings for non-members. All the plots have ready title deeds. Pay a deposit of 200,000 Kenya shillings and the balance in 3 months. For more information, call us on 0708 145 222, 0708 145 222 or email pcahousing@gmail.com. Jempa Gardens Elementaita by PCEA Housing Cooperative Society Limited. Right, welcome back to the big conversation. In case you're joining us right now, we are talking about exam preparedness and psychological disturbances. And with me in studio is Simon Mwangi, the principal of PCA Limuru Boys High School, Flash Mburu counseling psychologist, and Damaris Wangui Maina, who's the deputy head teacher of Green Edgewood Academy. And we're having a very wholesome conversation. Before we took a break, someone mentioned about the anxiety that usually comes from students. And I'd like to ask Flash, other than, you know, maybe students feeling unprepared, the pressure, what else could be the sources or triggers of panic attacks and anxiety during the exam period?
It's the fear of the unknown. It's the euphoria, because I think if you ask me from a psychological point of view, I think exam is a bit hyped. It's too much. It is hyped. So that can make a student get anxiety, the fear of the unknown, the expectation from the parents. In fact, most of the time, it's not the exam in itself, because I normally tell students it's just another exam, only that this time it is national, you're doing it nationally, otherwise it's just another exam. So that is really not the problem. The problem is the pressure, the expectation, the hype, the promises, and God forbid, sometimes it gets so bad that someone doesn't want to face it and they kill themselves. So again, I repeat, for parents, for teachers, I'm not saying you totally tell them to relax, it's nothing, but just downplay it. Remind them it's just another exam, you are doing it nationally, and the agenda is the bigger picture, what you want to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Still on you, how then should teachers handle cases of panic attacks and anxiety during this period?
Okay, during this period, let kids calm down. In the event, especially in case we don't meet again on air, and for teachers and parents and even students, if you're watching, during that D-Day, you've entered the room, the exam is coming, the askari is there with a gun or whoever, the invigilator, the papers are being dished out, and checks in a panic attack, and you freeze. You get a freeze. I'll give you some technique 101. I won't get into many details. I'll just tell you what you can do that minute. Calm down and breathe. And I'm not saying breathe in, breathe out like pee. No. I'm just saying just breathe. Listen to your breath, count to 10 quietly, no drama. In fact, no one needs to know you are breathing. Count to 10. And then if you still feel a bit anxious, just look around your room. What can you see? I can see a chair. I can see so and so. I can see Otieno. I can see Kamau. I can see Fatima. I can see the floor is gray. I can see the window. I can see a tree. If you're in a place where, just observe what you can see. By the time you finish observing, you should have calmed down. Breathe, observe. I think for now, that's enough. Yeah.
All right. Wangui, I'll come to you. We're talking about the CBC. We have the Pioneer class. There's a question here. What are the expectations, or what is expected of the students when they have the KPSE exams?
Okay, thank you so much. Now that we have the KPSE exam starting next week, that is on Monday, the learners, for now, they are required to prepare fully. Right now, they have covered the syllabus countrywide. We also require them to do a bit of revision, and again now the final touches, even as they prepare for the exam. Another thing is that to have that, to avoid stress, because again, let them know that this is not, even if it is their first time, others have already done it, because we have done it in KCP and in KCSE and any other exam. And again, as my colleague has said here, that this is not the first time. And again, this is not now the only thing that we have. They have even tomorrow, we have next year, we have more exams to come.
Right.
So what I would urge them is to get focused and get a little bit relaxed, so that again they can be able to do that exam well.
Okay.
Even what she has said, when it comes to that time when you are in the exam room and then you find that you are anxious, it is also good to pray. It is also good to pray even before that paper, to ask God for guidance, to ask God for remembrance, and again to ask God for understanding.
Okay.
Because we in everything we require God. Another thing, these learners should make sure that they have enough sleep. It's not the time now that parents can be telling them that they have to burn the midnight oil in books and waking up that early morning. They should have that planned timetable again to make sure that they have used the time that they have in revision that is important and is required for them to excel.
You are mentioning revision. I'm assuming then this exam is a sit-down exam for them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because again now we still need to have that final touches. There are some topics, some areas, as we call them, the strands and the substrands, that they need to touch before that time. Remember, we have now the tomorrow being the Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday before we start the rehearsals on Friday. So it is good for the learners to continue checking on books and again ensuring that they have everything that they require, even to sit for that paper.
Okay.
Thank you.
So a comment here from Nyawira Francis who says, I agree with Flash Mburu. Children should be loved regardless of the examination outcomes. I think all of us have agreed with that.
Yes.
We've said that exam is, there's life beyond the KPSEA, the KCSE, and the KCPE. There's a question that's coming. I'll look at it later on, but I'd like to ask, we'll start with you, Wangu, then come to you, Simon. How have we prepared the students for the transition? There was the discussion that the grade 6 will go to junior high school, which will be in the already existing secondary schools. And earlier on you mentioned they're too young. How will they be treated? So let's talk about how have you prepared them to handle that. We'll come to you, Simon, to look at how have you prepared the students as well to receive the junior high school students. Wangui.
Thank you so much. To start with, we have been having counseling and guidance sessions, whereby we have informed them that we know that the government is has that task force that is undergoing, and they are still coming up, or they are still negotiating, and yet to come up with a concrete maybe solution. But we are telling them, regardless of how the government will inform us, they are required to prepare their minds that if it is going to those high schools, it is well and it is manageable. It will happen and all will be well. If again, because again, for when they heard that they are going to high school, of course they are excited that they are now leaving their juniors in the primary level and then transiting to that junior high school. If at all it does not happen, they should have that retro space that they still need to make it, and that they should still need to remain in primary section. But again, we are hoping that the government will make the best decision for them. Yes.
All right. I'm tempted to ask which is the best decision for them, but that will bring a whole other conversation. Simon, initially the communication was that junior high school will be in secondary school, and we saw the building of the CBC classes. Let's talk about if that is the decision that the CBC task force will recommend and they're brought to secondary schools. How is the preparation on your end to receive them?
Yeah, thank you, Faith, for that question. But as Damaris have just mentioned, Labda, I can start it at individual level.
Right.
As of we have tried, by all means, the outcome of task force won't find us on on a red corner that we are totally blank.
Okay.
In terms of facilities, in terms of rooms, those CBC classrooms which were being built, and we have got enough that as far as we can be able even to stretch up to 100 plus, we can comfortably manage in the premises. But there is this risk of the outcomes of the task force. There is something which is yet to be confirmed, the way it will go about with the grade 6 who are living primary level join the secondary for level 1 at junior secondary, or will they be retained at primary level?
Right.
Whereas, of course, with the outcomes, that is wherever we'll be able to prepare very well. Of course, there is risk in any way, and the schools are fearing, especially even the private school, which contribute a lot, even in admissions and transition of the student, that 100% transition from primary to secondary level. So you see, if it doesn't, they ought to prepare so that they can be able to receive the student coming from grade 6. But if the task force says or proves otherwise, then that will be an investment which have been put to dormance. So there is that challenge on transition. How will it come about? So, but all in all, we have to prepare.
Yeah.
And somebody said that we always hope for the best.
Yes.
And
So
sometimes
So we keep hoping for the
we
best.
keep hoping for the best,
Okay.
because we won't have at any point a gap
Yeah.
of the student that they are not joining high school. So we are preparing, and in terms of the government also launched the training of the teachers
Yes.
on the CBC at secondary level. So we still believe the outcome can say the CBC continues,
Yeah.
and the secondary school teachers continues to teach this level 1 of junior secondary. So that means the preparation are ongoing, and even schools are ongoing preparing, knowing that there will be a transition, because after all, there will be something which will be come out from that task force.
Okay.
And either way, we have to accommodate.
All right.
Yes.
Wangwe, you mentioned that, students, we're still yet to find out from the task force whether they'll be placed in secondary school or primary. Does this mean you've communicated this to the students so that they're psychologically prepared? Because you mentioned if you do not go and you still remain in primary, don't feel like you have remained stagnant because you are ready to leave behind, students from the lower classes. Have you communicated this to the students?
Yes, we have done, and the administration, and again we've been having the professional counselors talking to them, and again to note that it is not the end of the world. If the government realizes that these learners have to be in those secondary schools, then well and good, and again you have to cope with the situation. But again, remember, if the government maybe comes up with this idea of retaining them in primary school, remember it is also better because we have the facilities. We have these classes that are now supposed to be for class 7 if it was about the 844 system.
Yes.
Now we shall not have the class 7 next year. So we shall have empty classes. So with them being in primary school, I think it may be better for them. And again, with the tender age, we shall be able even to nurture them before they are taken to high school. And again, I also understand that the same learners, they are very close to their parents, bearing in mind that most of them are day scholars. Most of learners countrywide who are in primary level, they are day scholars. And again, time to time, they normally board very well with their parents when they are day schooling. But now, bearing in mind that most of these schools Okay, like I think it's in the same year. There was selections of schools, and again we even selected those boarding schools that are far from their homes. And I think, as I may say it, these learners are still tender even to move away from their parents. So we are hoping that if the government decides to keep these learners maybe in a primary school, I think that could be the best decision as for me. Yes.
All right, let me have a look at a comment here. I'd like Flash to address. Andy Rango says, I agree with Flash. Students are at times unruly because they crave for parents' attention. And then there's a question here about boys having indisciplined cases, you know, compared to girls. Let's talk about this. Why is this the case that we see that most times it is boys who have a lot of indisciplined cases compared to girls?
Okay. Generally, boys have more to prove than girls. In matters of especially societal expectations. I want to prove you realize women, I don't have to prove I'm a woman. But a boy is always stuck in situations where he has to prove he's a boy. Some of the indisciplined cases, you'll find that he was bullied or dared by his classmates to do something. Or even if he was not dared, he did it because consciously or subconsciously he was trying to prove a point to either the school or to his folks, or to whoever. So that's why you'll find some boys, most of the time it is, even at home, it's the boy who you'll find rebellious and whatever. Girls are normally very chilled because generally, by nature, they have more to prove. They are even more daring than girls. A girl will fear being beaten, will fear being punished. But a boy has more tenacity of some things. So he will dare to do some things and he has a lot to prove. That's what I can say from a psychological point of view. Yeah.
And how do we arrest that?
You arrest that by talking to him as a child. Okay. She has mentioned safety. A child should feel safe. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. You don't have to be indisciplined to prove that you are a man. You don't have to be rude to prove that you are a man. Just chill out. In fact, if you want to be a gentleman, just don't get into trouble. That means you're more responsible, you are more reliable. Otherwise, the more you are indisciplined, the more you are not reliable, you are not... we have no faith in you because you may be the sharpest, but if you're indisciplined, you won't be the prefect. You won't be that what you are trying to prove to be. So have these conversations as parents, as teachers. Just have these conversations. You don't. And again, let's go back to the previous thing before we took a break. Remember, we talked about why is a child indisciplined? What attention is he trying to get? Yes. So sometimes it may even be an attention-seeking cry. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sure. You'd like to add on something?
Yes. Also, Faith, as Fresh here is mentioning, boys, I haven't dealt with them. You realize there is something I believe on, and it's also said that despite how men may be too hardy, they're also delicate. So you realize that most of the boys are becoming indisciplined, not for anything else, but the attention they have lost, they can be able to start claiming it back. You realize at home, a mother is very comfortable staying almost a whole day with the daughter, but sometimes you realize when they come with the mother and the boy, sometimes misbehaves just for the mother to speak, but says, please go away. Avoid a lot of bother around here. So sometimes they misbehave. There is a situation which came up at school. You just observe the boy and the behavior, and you have nothing else. You can't punish, you can't do anything. And just call the mother. And sometimes you just tell the mother, pick this boy for 1 week. Let him stay at home. And that's enough for him to just be able to because he was screaming for the attention. So, and not for a very big or serious misbehavior. Some other situation happens so that he can just feel like I'm close to the parent. So, and I'll just request the mother that what you'll be doing, or the parent, that what you'll be doing every day when you wake up, just ask the boy, what's wrong, how are you feeling at school, so that he can just empty himself. Because he's looking for somewhere he can be able to speak out.
Right.
So in a way, you are able to handle the stress, even what we were talking about, the anxiety of the exam. When you speak with them, even when they come at home, it also solves a lot of problems. Yeah.
Now you've talked about, you know, when they come home and you speak to them, and parents spending time with their children, and there's an uproar on social media because children are closing for 2 months, and parents are like, what do we do with these kids? Give us idea, where do we take them? I think I'd like to bring you in flash at this point. Then we'll get to, of course, Wangui and Simon. Parents, okay, are complaining in quotes, of course, but these 2 months, what would you advise parents? How should they spend time with their children or handle the kids?
Okay. So number one, you became a parent, welcome to parenthood. This is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
If you can actually take leave for a month, if you're lucky you have a good boss, take leave, stay with your baby. Baby, because they're still under your roof. And that's where we go wrong. We don't look at them, they are like babies, especially the Form 4s. We think they are these big people. You went to high school, you're an adult, so have time with your kid. And I mean quality time. Okay, a month I may be pushing it, but take a few days and stay with your kid. Get to know them, like really know them. Talk about stuff, talk about school, talk about their dreams and aspirations. Tell them about your work, about your business. Just chill out. And I'm not talking about that Sunday after church you go for the lunch, then you tell us, but we bond on Sundays. I'm saying, like, wake up, make those chapatis with your daughter or with your son if you are an enlightened parent who is not stuck up in tradition. Just do chores together. In that talking is when you will know their likes, their psychological disturbances. They'll tell you about this boy, this girl who is not so good in class. They'll tell you about a fear that they have. You talk about all those rubbish, nonsense things. They'll tell you about emotions. They are having crushes on a boy, crushes on a girl. Have you started your menses? You know, because it is these little things that make you bond. And when you are talking to this kid, I'm not saying sit here seriously, like a board conversation, sit here, let's talk. I'm just saying in these activities, you are going to pick and you will know who your child is. You are going to pick things that these kids will tell you things, and if you are actively listening, they tell you a lot. If only you have time for them. Don't make it like you are consciously interviewing them. You're just talking, you're just chilling out. The way you chill out with your men friends, or just chill out, whether it's at the shamba, make time to be with a child. And it's not always about education and exams, how is school. Sometimes just talk about life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I like the fact that say actively listen.
Yeah.
And I think I'd like to add on, because you mentioned about crushes, and that's a sensitive topic. Okay, tell your mom you have a crush, and the next time they send you to the shop and you stay for 10 minutes, like, so you are with that boy.
There we are.
So don't use the information they give you against them.
Yeah, relax.
All right. Now, Simon and Wangwe at Service Simon. Now, of course, unfortunately, time is not on our side, so allow me to cut you short when I cut you short.
Okay.
But 2 months is a long time. Students might come back. Flash at some point mentioned that they need to relearn. Maybe a mesahau, So, what activities can parents engage the students in to ensure that even when they resume school, they're still at par?
Yeah, of course, Flash has just mentioned taking time with the runners. That means be it your daughter, be it your son. One thing, the sense of belonging, as I had mentioned earlier, gives somebody ability to go on. Gives someone that energy to push. So first, before you tell them, and as a parent, and allocate that here there is no TV, there is no movie, this is time to run, and the specific one. Let's sit down, let's come up with the agreement. And I think in the midst of it all, let the part of interaction be a bit bigger. I know it might be too much from the parent to feel like I need to take time, cook tea with this boy, cook, even do the washing of clothes with the, even the boy. But in that time, you are able to know this is what he feels okay with, this is what he doesn't feel okay with. So that probably what he have been bothering for him and stealing the concentration is something which is deep within himself. So when you are able to discover and unleash it to the boy or to your son or to your daughter, that makes him to be able to concentrate. When you tell him, let's agree, this is time for movie, this is time to sleep, you can also take time to read. Now he's able to read comfortably, having already been listened to. He doesn't feel like I miss the classmates whom I empty myself to and tell them how bad I am.
And they're having a countdown when they'll go back to school.
Sometimes they have a countdown. That's true.
Yes. At this time, as parents, we are supposed to think about these learners and again come up with what is best of them. For example, we have other things rather than learning academics and all that. We have those manual maybe lessons that you can take them. For example, maybe playing a musical instrument, maybe even other things like beadwork, artwork. This is the time to know what your child likes most, and then you can have some classes for that learner, for that child. Sorry, and again, it is also equally important to make sure that even when you are at home, you interact as you have said, and again let them get engaged, even not only in watching the TV, but again they can come up with whatever that they have learned in class to come up with something better. Because again, I believe this is the time that now they have missed. In fact, they have been in school for quite a long time without having breaks. Maybe a 1 week break or even 2 weeks break, and it has been hectic for them. But now this is the time to relax. This is the time to do other things rather than academics. So if for those parents who are maybe in a country, they have the animals to take care of. They have the shambles for these children to attend. If it's about maybe farming, let them get engaged. The only thing that we need to make sure that we are very keen is about now when they are interacting with the friends. Let your child alert you or let you know where he is going. It is very important. And again, let you know whom their friends are, so that to know the kind of people that they are interacting with. Again, it is a very another time, a very bad time, and a very good time that we need to make sure that we have checked on them, because we know outside there are so many things, be it drugs and substances and abuse. We have to make sure that we have checked on them. You know what your child is doing. Even if it is your uncles, the uncles to belonging to these children, they should know the kind of interaction that they're having with their relatives, be it even the house girls at home. I think this is also another time whereby those who are in urban centers can give maybe some leave to the house girls, so that at least these learners or these children can get to know much about housework and all about house chores, because again it is equally important.
Right. I like the fact that you've brought, parents should be also keen,
very cautious,
and brought in the point of drug and substance abuse. That's very important. Now, as we wrap it up, I'd give you the opportunity to wish your students all the best in the exams. We'll start with you, Wangui.
Thank you so much. I would like to remember my learners in Green Edgewood Academy, the class 8 and the grade 6 learners who are doing KCP and the KPCA exam. I wish you all the best even as you do your exams. Make sure that you have not panicked. We have prepared you enough. So whatever that you are going to do, the exam that you are going to do, the questions that you are going to tackle are the same that you have been tackling in class. Countrywide, I wish you all the best, because again, this is another time that you are going to be tested. But remember, this is not the end of the world. Be calm, be confident, and again, you are going to make it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you as well, Simon.
Thank
Over
you.
to you.
Yeah, thank you, Faith, even for having us here. It's a great pleasure, and I appreciate you for that time. Yeah, I also want to take this opportunity to wish the very best to all candidates nationwide, those who are sitting for KCSE, the KPCA, the KCPE, all of them. I wish them the very best, and also take this opportunity to wish our boys in PCA Remuru Boys all the best. I know in as the PCA Remuru Boys fraternity, we have done what it takes, be it teachers, support staff, be it the management, to ensure that you are well prepared. Even as we talk of the exam preparedness, you have got the all that it takes for you to be able to sit for that exam. So my best wishes are that you be able to come out as winners with that grade that God will give you. And to our learners in grade 6 and class 8, we wish them the very best. I also take this opportunity to invite them come January. You are welcome for an intake where we are scaling to a greater heights. And we say our motto is arise and shine. So we are rising and shining. So the boys who you meet there, they are shining in all ways. So thank you so much.
Terrible. Flash. We will speak to all students for you, as to teachers as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, there are some schools that are very special to my heart. PCA Booth Girls School of Excellence, Kanjero. PCA Booth Girls School of Excellence, Rongai. Fadi Secondary School, Kirenga Girls, Kirenga Boys, Yetuamba Girls, and all those schools that you know that I come and speak to you teachers and students, and all the other schools in the nation. I wish you all the best. Parents, I wish you all the best. Whether it is CBC, whether it is O-levels, I feel your anxiety. You're probably more anxious than the student. So I wish you all the best as parents and teachers. You've done a good job. Remember, for all of you, teachers, parents, students, head teachers, you got this. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Hube, you had your salams. You were just waiting.
Salamu kwa watu wa PCA shesheni. Msinichape nimetuma salamu.
All right, let me sample a few of the comments that have come in. Ken Jiguna says, so interesting. Good job, Mr. Principal. Odukui Edward says, big up. Simon. Alex Robert says, good work, Madam Damaris. And then that's on YouTube. So let's have a look at a few on Facebook. Joyce Nairo says, congrats, Damaris Wangui, and thank God for you. Bonfast Guitar says, loving the conversation. Good work, Mr. Simon. And then, of course, a few who are agreeing with the points that Flash had put across about loving your child regardless of the outcome in the examination. Shiro Pikamau says, interesting and timely. And with that, I wrap it there. I think for me, I'll just, say it again. Despite or regardless of the outcome of your child's results, love them. Yeah, because we are, Simon had mentioned earlier that we are gifted differently. So love them, walk with them the journey of this life. We've had great stories from people who failed in one aspect or area of life and another, and they're now doing amazing things. So that is not the end, or that does not mean they are doomed. But with that said, I wish all candidates the best and teachers as well, because I know it's not an easy moment. They say, however, the child performs reflects on their teacher's performance as well. So I wish all the schools all the best during this time and a peaceful exam duration. Well, my name is Faith Kaulu. Thank you so much for joining us this evening right here at the big conversation. We've had a wholesome discussion, and thank you to everyone who interacted with us. I call it a night right here on behalf of everyone who's made this possible. Do have yourself a good night. Goodbye.